Alright, welcome guys. I'm Jay from Turn Zero and Kirkwood Bros Gaming, and I'm here today to run through a little bit of a legacy gauntlet here. I'm going to play Buried Alive Phoenix. It's a really fast deck. This one combines Reanimator packages with Arclight Phoenix. So you can see here, we're only running 16 lands because we're really focusing on getting things out quick. So we just have 16 lands, 4 Lotus Petals, and then Dark Rituals to get things going really quick. And the whole point is that we can do two things, right? One is to get Grizzlebrand onto the battlefield early, so we have Entomb, Reanimate, and Exhume for that to go along with our Dark Ritual so we can go quick. Or we can have a super combo hand that allows us to reanimate Grizzlebrand, but also use Buried Alive to get Phoenixes into the graveyard. Once we have Phoenixes in the graveyard, as long as we cast 3 instants or sorceries this turn, Phoenix comes right back at the beginning of our combat step, and then we get to attack in with those. So it's a little more, I would say, mid-rangey in terms of its support plan for the reanimation package. It doesn't use Chancellor of the Annex or anything like that to really like beef up countering your opponent's spells. Or anything like that. It really focuses on killing quickly because with a lot of Reanimator packages you have to wait a couple turns as Grizzlebrand is out to try to hit them a few times. If you're able to combo with this, you can really kill them by the second or third attack that you do and the game is just over. We also have a couple other reanimation targets to help out. Ashen Rider, which when it enters the battlefield or dies, exiles a permanent. Notably, your opponent has to have a permanent out, otherwise you need to target your own permanent. So make sure you don't do that if you ever play this deck. And then we have Tidespout Tyrant, which functions in a similar way. Really what we're trying to do is make sure that anything that's problematic, that's stopping our graveyard from being filled or anything like that, or that's going to prevent us from attacking, like an Ensnaring Bridge, we can bounce that back to hand when we cast another spell, and then we can just go ahead and attack. We're going to use Faithless Looting, Buried Alive, and potentially Cabal Therapy to get the Phoenixes into our graveyard. Sometimes we might open with Phoenix, a couple of different Phoenixes in our hand, and we can use Cabal Therapy, target ourselves, name Phoenix, and just discard both of those. Cabal Therapy is also just like a good kind of pseudo Thoughtseize for our opponents if we can figure what we have them on. Naming certain cards that we know are problematic for us, like Swords to Plowshares, things like that. But we also have 2 regular Thoughtseizes in here. I can't get away from it. I love Thoughtseize so much as just a way to look at my opponent's hand, know what's going on, and be able to plan what we're doing from there. Because we need free spells, we're including Unmask as well, another way to do a quick hand check for our opponent, but also to get that second or third instant or sorcery out of the way so that we can get our Phoenixes back. It's also a great way to continue to control the game after we have a Grizzlebrand out when we had to use all of our mana. We do have a little bit of a backup plan here in a Grave Titan and in a Burial Rites. Burial Rites goes off of Entomb. We're running a Plains as well as a Scrubland so that we can activate the flashback on Burial Rites. Just another way that we can make sure that we're not totally dead in the late game if our opponent manages to stuff our combo a couple times. So in the sideboard, we have some answers for some problematic things, right? Those permanents like Leyline of the Void or Rest in Peace, we have Assassin's Trophy for those. Also a Seal of Cleansing so that it can sit on the battlefield. We don't have to wait for an instant speed scenario to cast it. For Caracas, things like that, we have Pithing Needle. I love Pithing Needle, it's so versatile. I often think I want to run more than 2 in some of these sideboards, but you do need other options to win, so we're keeping it to 2. Sire of Insanity is a great reanimation target against combo because they need many cards in their hand in order to go off, and if you can just pitch them all into the graveyard on them, they often scoop up the game. So for some other graveyard hate, we have 2 Fairy Macabres. It's really more to protect our own combos, but we can snipe a couple of reanimation targets from our opponents if we need to. We have a Lily the Last Hope for control matchups or Death and Taxes, so that we can get that -2/-1. Also for Death and Taxes, Dread of Night, so white creatures get -1/-1. We got a couple of copies of that. And then Collective Brutality can also function as a pretty decent removal spell while also being able to pitch our own Phoenixes or Grizzlebrands, and then gain a little bit of extra life so when we need to draw off Grizzlebrand or recoup from Reanimation. And then we have some Pack Rats as a way to kind of juke for our opponent. If we know that they have a lot of Swords to Plowshares, things like that, we're just going to bring in more targets that will be harder for them to deal with, and then that way the Pack Rats just make copies of themselves, and it's harder for them to take care of everything we have on board. So that is the deck. We are going to jump into some games, and I'll see you there. Thanks. Okay, we're jumping into match 1 here with Red-Black Buried Alive Phoenix. Our opening hand, we do have Cabal Therapy, where we could name for ourselves, we can name Arclight Phoenix, but we don't have any fast mana, so I think we got to pitch this one. You mulligan pretty aggressively with this deck. So here, we unfortunately have Grizzlebrand in our hand. We have Entomb and Exhume, but no fast mana, so really we'd be banking on getting a second land, which is fairly reasonable. The other thing is if we draw a Dark Ritual or something like that, this hand could also be very good. So let's keep this. We're not really interested in having Grizzlebrand in our hands, so we'll put that on the bottom. Our opponent plays Polluted Delta and Ornithopter, so I'm going to guess they're on ninjas. And what do we draw? Okay, an Arid Mesa. So they can go get us a Badlands. We're not against that. But I think where we want to start is just playing our Bloodstained Mire. In case our opponent is a Wasteland deck, we don't want to fetch the Badlands and then put it at risk of getting Wastelanded. So we'll just plan to Entomb at the end of turn. Okay, opponent fetches a Swamp. And then they have their island. So what I'm hoping is, well, not hoping, but our opponent's probably going to Ingenious Infiltrator here, or Ninja the Deep Hours. Oh, it's Yuriko. Okay. That's the best one. So whenever Yuriko deals damage or combat damage to a player, they reveal the top card of your library, so this would be our opponent's library, and put it into their hand, and then we lose life equal to that converted mana cost. So our opponent could potentially be hitting us for a bunch. Retrofitter Foundry, so we lose 1. That's not bad. And they redeploy their Ornithopter. Alright, let's see if our opponent has Force of Will. Go get a Swamp. And we'll attempt to Entomb. It goes through. So we'll Grizzlebrand. We get to untap. Now we'll go find our Badlands. And Exhume, as long as our opponent doesn't have an answer for that. Oh, they do. So I find that to be such an odd decision point for opponents to counter the Reanimation spell as opposed to the Entomb. Just because now the Grizzlebrand is there, and unless you have a way to specifically deal with it, if I have another Reanimation spell, that's just potentially the game. Sometimes it works out where we just don't draw the Reanimation, but it's riskier to counter the Exhume and not the Entomb. Opponent's just trying to get behind raw card advantage here. They have another Ninja. Okay, so they're going to be drawing 2 cards, actually 3 cards, right? A Ninja, so they'll draw 2 off of this and then draw 1 off of Yuriko, which is big game. Yeah, Ninjas is a really good tempo deck. And they have a Ponder. So I imagine our opponent ponders here and then just tries to... Oh, they drew Force of Will. Alright, I think we can scoop it up. We know our opponent has Force of Will and Ponder. There's really no way out of there. Like, okay, we would have drawn Dark Ritual, but they probably just counter that. Alright, what can we do against ninjas? Well, I imagine they're going to bring in some graveyard hate for us, so we're probably going to want some number of Assassin's Trophies. We can go down a Grizzlebrand because Surgical Extraction makes that a problem. They didn't see our hand, so they don't know about the Phoenix plan. And let's see, we don't really care about their graveyard. They're ninjas. They can just attack with things that are checked down by Liliana. Let's see. And then they're also a creature deck, so we're not terribly interested. We can trim and exhume there. I think that'll probably be fine. They generally don't run like off-color things like Heracus. Alright, we're on the play. We have Lotus Petals, Cabal Therapy. Yeah, we're just not quite going to get there on this one, I don't think, right? So we have Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal. Well, we could Cabal Therapy. Well, we can unmask ourselves, right? We can Lotus Petal, unmask ourselves, pitching on Burial Rites, Grave Titan Exhume. It's sort of Glass Cannon, but it's hard to deal with a Grave Titan on turn 1. If we had a land, I might consider unmasking our opponent, and then we can Cabal Therapy ourselves. But our opponent's mulliganing to 5, which means they're probably looking for... Wow, going to 4? They're absolutely looking for Leyline of the Void. And I don't think you can go past 4. I think you just have to say, okay, I have these 4 cards, whether it has Leyline in it or not. And they found it. So now we are going to be unmasking our opponent. And I think we're just going to pitch... Probably the Unburial Rites. I don't think we're ever getting to that. Force of Will, cling to dust. Well, we're going to leave you with a Force of Will. And then we're going to pass the turn. Our opponent's sort of like, no lands. Well, you also have no lands, so we have mana, though. Okay. Alright. Well, we drew a swamp. Alright, so we're going to lose this Cabal Therapy for good, but we might as well take that other Force of Will out of their hand. Oh, they found a Retrofitter Foundry. And Retrofitter Foundry, they need 2 mana to create Cerbos. So that's a little army in a can they have going there. Alright, so let's cast Lotus Petal. And cast Lotus Petal. And then if we draw a couple Dark Rituals, or Dark Ritual and a land, we'll be able to cast this Grave Titan. Alright, whenever they find a land, they're going to be able to start going off with the Foundry. It's a little bit of an unusual start to a game. Alright, well, we're not going to be able to cast Grizzlebrand, so we need a lot of lands to be able to do that. Our opponent still hasn't found a land. Okay. Faithless Looting is something, but we have to sacrifice mana to be able to use it, and then Leyline of the Void is there, so I think we're just passing the turn, unfortunately. It makes me wish that maybe we held on to the Cabal Therapy, just so we could kind of hand check before we try to combo. Our opponent has not found a land, which means all gas. Or at least Retrofit or Foundry Cling to Dust. Alright, well, Buried Alive isn't going to do anything for us here. I think next turn, if we don't draw another land, we'll Faithless Looting to try to get into it. Yeah. We'll Faithless Looting. Wow. Okay. I mean, we'll keep the Thoughtseize. I think we probably want to pitch Buried Alive and the Tidespout Tyrant. And we don't have anything going on right now. So I think we'll just, and our opponent hasn't found a land. They might this turn, but alright, so we faded them having a land, so hopefully we Thoughtseize them this turn after drawing another land. Alright, well that's a ritual. So we're getting somewhere. We're still going to need like Assassin's Trophy or something like that. And I don't want to sacrifice the Lotus Petal just yet with that. But a second Dark Ritual would put us in shape for Grave Titan. Alright, Fatal Push, Brainstorm, Cling to Dust, Ponder. Well, they have two Ponders, so I think we just need to take the Retrofitter Foundry. And then we'll pass the turn. Alright, opponent found another Ornithopter. At least that's a known card now to us, no unknowns. What do we draw? Faithless Looting again, okay. Yeah, I feel like we need to, we're gonna find lands eventually, and we probably need to find Bayou, so just gonna get going here with the Faithless Looting. Well, that's another Lotus Petal. So we're gonna pitch Entomb and Exhume. We just don't need to reanimate here. And we'll cast another Lotus Petal. At least we're churning through our deck a bit. We've drawn 9 more cards in our opponent. Our opponent has found a Swamp. They can't really do anything with that. They just have a Fatal Push. Not particularly worried about that. Okay. We found a Bayou. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We find one more land. That's Grave Titan country. We know our opponent still on Cling, Fatal Push, Brainstorm, 2 Ponders. Still on just the Swamp. Which I don't like. Could mean that they found counter magic. Reanimate. Well, our opponent doesn't have anything juicy for us to reanimate. I think we just passed the turn here. They could also Cling to Dust, right? It's a graveyard, so they can technically Cling to Dust their own graveyard. Okay. So they just wanted to redraw. So they found a Polluted Delta, and I'm sure they'll Ponder here. Yep, just trying to draw out of it. Let's see what they do with their cards. Not to shuffle. Okay. know the Cling to Dust in the graveyard. So they have 3 knowns and 3 unknowns now. Not a fan. Alright, Arid Mesa. I'm gonna pop that Mesa. And let's see, we get the script. Yeah, we need the Badlands. Alright. Ritual. Grave Titan? Did you find a Force of Will off your ponder? No, you didn't. They have a Fatal Push for one of our zombies. I imagine they probably have a ninja of some kind on top of their deck. Yep. But our Grave Titan is a much better army in a can than their Retrofitter Foundry. Alright, so they found another land. Okay, so they must be doing Yuriko or Infiltrator here. Infiltrator. Okay. Well, that's fine. Annoyingly, that's a 2-3. And they want to brainstorm to see what they're going to draw. Okay. Pretty crafty opponent. That's not bad. We are going to be at 15 here. They may have brainstorm locked themselves if they didn't draw a fetch land. Our opponent does have blockers. Okay. Oh, I think we're going to get in. No reason to stand on ceremony. We gotta try to win this race. Sure. Feel free to block. At some point we might reanimate the Ornithopter. I would actually also consider not cracking the Bloodstained Mire. Not for the racing portion necessarily, but so that we can potentially cast Grizzlebrand. Our opponent shuffles with their ponder. So they found another ponder. See if they found another ninja or not. I'm gonna guess that they didn't fetching now as opposed to in mid-combat is a little weird. Does the Ornithopter get in? Nope. They gotta respect the zombies. Awesome. They conceded. Didn't have an answer for the Grave Titan. Okay. Alright, so did we see anything that changed our minds in that game? Let's see. I mean, Assassin's Trophy would have been nice. I guess Pithing Needle is good against Retrofitter Foundry. Collective Brutality is also pretty good at killing Ornithopters. But we know our opponent is just mulliganing down to take out the combos. So I think if they're mulliganing down heavily, we will bring in another Seal of Cleansing. We'll go down to Buried Alive. That's not the most important combo piece. It can be good for the explosive combo in game 1, but not the best for game 2. On Burial Rites, I think we can get rid of as well, which then gives us room to bring in something like Pack Rat. Our opponent's probably a little low on... I mean, we know they have Fatal Push. They did leave that in. Yeah, I like bringing in the Pack Rats, and we'll go down a Phoenix. Worst case scenario, pack rats become decent blockers. Well, we have the combo. What are the chances our opponent immediately goes into Leyline of the Void? Pretty good, right? Still. We also have the mana we need if we were to draw Assassin's Trophy, so let's keep it. Yeah, they found it. Alright. Oh, Changeling Outcast. Assassin's Trophy off the top would be sick. Would love to draw that. No. Buried Alive is no good. Alright. Play a Bloodstained Mire. Play a Lotus Petal. Play a Lotus Petal. Pass. We just need to draw Assassin's Trophy. Or Seal Cleansing. See if our opponent kept any ninjas. They did. One blocks, and there comes Infiltrator. Yep. You've drawn a card. Congratulations on your card. Alright. Unmask, okay. Unfortunately, the Unmask's not going to be great because they're going to be able to keep drawing cards with the Infiltrator. So I think our plan of attack is still to wait and see if we draw the Hate piece. And this is sometimes where you end up with combo decks like this. Like, they found their Hate piece, and you gotta kind of like wait it out until you find yours. But if they didn't have exactly that Hate piece, we're gas. Like, the game is ours. And you live on that variant sometimes. Alright, opponent found an Ornithopter. They can also play out their, because they ponder. They can play out Changeling Outcast too. Yeah, found it. Alright. So, I think we can plan out the turn. We need to unmask them to check for Force of Will. But if we have... Let's see, we can... If we keep Ritual and Tomb Exhume, we can get out Grizzlebrand. The other option is to Ritual, so we have 3, 4, 5, 6 available. We can Ritual, Buried Alive, Exhume. That seems better. So we will unmask our opponent, pitching Entomb. And hopefully they only have one counterspell. Okay. Do they have double Force of Will is the question. Oh, I miscounted that because I have the Assassin's Trophy. So if I Ritual, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 still. So I can Ritual, and then I'll have Assassin's Trophy, and then 4. Yeah, should have kept Entomb there, but we'll still be okay because we already unmasked. So let us crack this and get a Badlands. And let's ritual. Assassin's Trophy. Opponent's cracking. They have straight counterspell. They're brainstorming to find another force of will. They did ponder, so they might know what's on top. They didn't shuffle. Okay. Buried alive? Okay, and this one we go get Arclight Phoenix, Arclight Phoenix. And Gravetide is hard for them to deal with. But Grizzlebrand is the truth. Okay. So we should get 2 Phoenixes here. Unless our opponent specifically has double Cling to Dust. Which would be unfortunate, but good for our opponent for having all the hate and the backup. That looks like a Cling to Dust. Yep. They can't get them both. They could potentially get rid of our Grizzlebrand, though. If they do nothing with their turn, they can get the Grizzlebrand. Or they can spend their whole turn getting the Grizzlebrand. My hope is that they tap out for something else. But they should see the telegraph that we have some way to reanimate the Grizzlebrand. Okay, yeah, so our opponent is leaving it up. Alright, go to attacks. Exile 5 of the cards. Yeah, I think we'll just see if they do it. Yep. Okay. Well, we still have Entombs that we can draw. You're going to get another ninja and draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, and we're going to get hurt. Yikes. It's a bunch of triggers. Retrofitter Foundry and Ponder. So, I mean, we only took 2, but those are both very good cards. Especially since they can just play Retrofitter Foundry, sack their Ornithopter, and have a 4/4. That's pretty good. Also be smart if they're planning that we get Exhume. Alright, and they don't shuffle, so our opponent's probably in really good shape here. Force of Will decks, always a challenge. For Reanimator combo decks, anyway. They discard the Retrofitter Foundry. That's interesting. Okay. I don't like that Assassin's Trophy would put us in a position to have them get back whatever creature we would kill because of Exhume, but we'll do what we have to do. Opponent plays Flooded Strand. They got a whole grip. Just going in. Alright, well, we're definitely just going to try to trade here. They brainstorm and try to set it up so that we get hit for a lot. But here's the fun thing, opponent. You're going to do all that setup, and then we're going to attempt to Assassin's Trophy the Infiltrator. You probably have another ninja, too. Okay, shuffling with Flooded Strand. Okay. Well, we can only kill one of them, unfortunately. Can't have you getting 6 triggers. Yep, they got Force of Will. Alright, we'll just concede. Alright, we're back for another match with Red-Black Buried Phoenix. We're going to be on the play here. Let's see, we got a Faithless Looting, Buried Alive and Exhume, and a Lotus Petal. So I do like the Faithless Looting into Exhume on turn 2, so I think we're going to keep it. It's not the most amazing reanimation target, but maybe we'll draw a Reanimate off this. Ooh, we found an Entomb off of this. Alright. Well, let's pitch Grave Titan. And let's pitch Bloodstained Mire. And let's play a Lotus Petal. And let's pass. And this way we can Entomb at the end of the turn. Hopefully we didn't just set our opponent up to reanimate our Grave Titan. Snow-covered mountain. Goblin Welder. Ooh, what is this? Choose target artifacts player controls and target artifact in their graveyard. If both targets are still legal, they simultaneously sacrifice the artifact to return the other one to the battlefield. So trying to cheat in big things. And that's totally fine with me. I don't know if you're mono red or what the situation is, but I'm going to Entomb and go get Grizzle Daddy. Alright, we have double Exhume, so let's go ahead and fetch. We'll get a swamp just in case our opponent is playing Wasteland and they don't scoop up to this. Go get Grizzlebrand. Thank you very much. Pay 7. Hopefully get an Unmask. Okay, we don't, but we do get Lotus Petals. Petal, petal. Let's see. So we can Cabal Therapy. I like this, I think. Let me see. Yeah, we don't have a reanimation. We need 1 more mana. So let's go down to 5. Try to draw. Alright, cool, cool. So we found Dark Ritual. So Ritual, Entomb, Exhume, right? Or Ritual, Cabal Therapy, Exhume. Ritual. And we will, so if we Entomb, we can Entomb Tidespout Tyrant. Yeah, I like that. Let's entomb Tidespot Tyrant. And then we can exhume. Get back our Tidespot Tyrant. And now we can sack for red, Faithless Looting, put Goblin Welder back into your hand. And so we've drawn those two. I think we'll just discard 2 lands. And then we can pass the turn. Our opponent has a full grip, but we'll discard Grizzlebrand and Ashen Rider and Buried Alive. Don't know what our opponent's going to be able to do here. I guess in theory, if they were burned, they could bolt us, play a mountain, bolt us, or like bolt us, play a mountain, Fire Blast. Opponent's taking their time, thinking about it. Yeah, you can see from this deck, like, how quickly things can turn in your favor. Like, we had a number of routes we could have taken there. Like, I could have also Faithless Looting to put Ashen Rider in the bin, exhumed the Ashen Rider, exiled something that way. You could use Cabal Therapy to check their hand for, you know, if you happen to know their deck very well, you could do that. I'm personally not going to say that I know all the intricacies of this Goblin Welder deck, but, you know, the better you get with the Legacy format, the more comfortable you might be just naming something with Cabal Therapy. You know, this Reanimate's not doing too much for us right now, but it might once we attack with Grizzlebrand. So our opponent replays their Goblin Welder. They figure they're not going to be dead next turn. Ah, they destroy. Okay, not bad. Not bad. But we have Exhume, so we can just bring that right on back. And they have a Badlands. Okay, so red-black. Duly noted. Alright, I don't see a Wastelands, so we'll play a Badlands. And I think we're going to start just by getting in with our Grizzlebrand. We could get Phoenixes if we really wanted to. But I think I'm interested in... what do we have? Ritual... Exhume. Okay. So I think if we go Ritual, Buried Alive, Exhume, that's actually really good for next turn. Maybe we can just see what's in their hand. Let's Cabal Therapy them. And let's just name Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, so they have Red Blast, Pyroblast, Painter. Oh, they're Goblin Painter. Okay, Goblin Engineer, search the library for artifact, put it in the graveyard, then shuffle your library. Okay. That's totally fine. So then what we can do is Exhume. And we'll Exhume Ashen Rider. And then we can exile their Goblin Welder. And then we'll flashback Cabal Therapy, sacrificing Ashen Rider. And we'll get rid of their Badlands. That's an interaction I absolutely love. It's exactly why I put Ashen Rider in the deck, was so that we can exile our opponent's lands. Yeah. And we will name Painter's Servant. All right, opponent, this is your window. love the resource management game that reanimation strategies allow you to do. Try to do a lot with a little. Alright, opponent found a Lotus Petal. They're going to play their Goblin Engineer. They can't tap it. They just have Red Blast, Pyroblast. They played the City of Traders and the Goblin Engineer. So, okay, so they're putting Wormcoil Engine in, thinking that this is going to get them to a safe place, but it is not, because we are going to Phoenix them to death. Okay, Ritual. Buried Alive. Got Arclight Phoenixes, and for funsies, we're going to reanimate their Wormcoil Engine. They should scoop it up, probably. Yeah, alright. Game 1 down. So, they're likely to have Tormod's Crypt. So I think we definitely need Pithing Needles. We need a Seal of Cleansing. The Goblin Welders are pretty small, as I recall, so I don't know if Lily would be a good idea, because the more time we give them, the worse it kind of gets for us. So I think we're just going to bring in our Permanent Hate with Assassin's Trophy, Cleansing, and Pithing Needles. And then we will go down a single Phoenix. They know about our Grizzlebrand, so we'll go down a Grizzlebrand. We got 3 more cuts. You can trim a Faithless Looting. And a Buried Alive. Gets us down to 60. It still plays a fast game. Alright, so we have turn 1 Entomb, turn 2 Exhume. And we're on the draw, so if we happen to draw a Ritual, we're really going to enjoy this. Our opponent could have Leyline. They mulliganed. No, they're on turn 1, so sure. They got that Goblin Welder again. Oh, Lotus Petal. Alright, so they're going to try to painter us real quick. Alright, it's not exactly what we wanted. So what's the best case scenario? If we Faithless Looting, if we find exactly Lotus Petal and Dark Ritual, that's good. Otherwise we can leave up Entomb. Thing is, so our opponent could play Goblin Welder with a second land, put something like Blightsteel Colossus in. That would be impressive. Okay. Let's play Badlands. I don't think Faithless Looting is going to do it for us here. So we are just going to leave this open and attempt to Entomb to Exhume. Probably should have left a Bloodstained Mire if they're a Wasteland deck, but don't think they are. I think they probably play Engineer here. Whoa, Duretti. Create a construct. You can sacrifice an artifact, destroy a target artifact or creature, or -6, choose target artifact card in a graveyard or artifact in the battlefield and create 3 tokens that are copies of it. That is an interesting card. So he's probably going to make a 1/1. And then he can sack it to get a Lotus Petal back for next turn. It's pretty good. Well, we didn't get Paintered, so I'm all about entombing. We gotta put the Granddaddy in there. Okay. Alright, let's do marsh flats. Let's pay and go get a bayou. And let's ritual. And just to be sure, I think we should Faithless Looting. And pitch a Tidespout Tyrant. And the other land. And then we'll exhume. This way we have 2 targets. Okay, they're going to Surgical Grizzlebrand. Yep. That's exactly why we did Faithless Looting first. They're going to find no other Grizzlebrands. Okay, Tidespout Tyrant. And so now I think we Pithing Needle. And I think we just return... We could just return to ready. But you can just get the Lotus Petal back and recast it. So yeah, I think we do return... Well, that's an interesting choice, right? So if we return to ready, our opponent can activate Goblin Welder, get rid of the construct, bring back the Lotus Petal, cast to ready. But if we bounce to ready, name to ready, we'll be in good shape. But I kind of want to name Goblin Welder. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to bounce Goblin Welder. We'll just force him to do it now. This way he can't do another activation. And then we'll name to ready with our Pithing Needle. Okay. So now our opponent has snow-covered island or mountains and a Lotus Petal and a Goblin Welder in hand, but nothing going for them on the field. They have a mountain and a Goblin Welder. There's a Welder, so they have 1 unknown. Alright. Ritual, interesting. So we could Ritual and Faithless Looting. So 1, 2, 3, so then 1, 2, so we'd have 1 floating, right? We can make 4. It's not really an ideal situation. I kind of want to just kill Duretti and then Assassin's Trophy the Goblin Welder. Probably in response to something. So we'll just kill Duretti. So interestingly, because we killed Duretti, we can cast Dark Ritual, bounce our Pithing Needle, and then name Goblin Welder. Okay, well, Ritual. think we just keep bouncing. Yeah, let's just keep bouncing their Goblin Welder. Okay. And now we'll Faithless Looting. Red, black, black. Alright. And now we can just bounce one of their lands again. Sure. Float some mana. Oh, yes. So we found the Reanimator. We don't have anything in our graveyard because we didn't find something to put in there. So I think we just want to leave these in our hand. Alright, so I'm going to pitch an Assassin's Trophy and an Exhume because they know about those. Okay. It's going to be a bit of a grind. But we know our opponent has Welder, Mountain, and an Unknown in hand. They would have used Pyroblast if they had it by now. This just turned out to be a very interesting sort of edge of your seat match. Alright, so they have double Welder. Sure. What do we draw? A swamp. Okay. Well, let's play our swamp. And we could Assassin's Trophy their Lotus Petal, which would bounce our Pithing Needle, and then we could Pithing Needle Goblin Welder. It seems good. Okay. And let's Pithing Needle. And put them off mana that we just gave them. And this time we'll name Goblin Welder. And we'll go to attacks. And it's a 4-turn clock. And if our opponent kills our Tidespot Tyrant, we do have a Reanimate left. Okay. Opponent's just going to try to get in. Karn. Yikes. Is the Karn for what? Astrolabe. Okay, just trying to draw deeper. Or cast something that's black. I don't know. Well, they know that Karn was going to die. That's probably why. Okay. Killed Karn. Opponent plays their Astrolabe, draws a card. Kind of hoping we can draw another Pithing Needle so I can just name Duretti. Get that out of the way. Or Goblin Engineer. Got it. Alright, well now we just need to draw anything that would be a good target to get rid of the Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, Ashen Rider is not one of those things. Okay. Well, we're going to be passing. Opponent plays another Arkham's Astrolabe. It's funny how this lined up. Our opponent was able to get rid of the Grizzlebrand, so now the Tidespot Tyrant is the one card that's like weak to their deck because of the Pyroblast and Red Blast. And they're getting a lot of time to draw out of this, so we need to draw an instant or sorcery, something. Okay, Thoughtseize is good. So trigger on the stack, we're going to bounce this. And they have a City of Traders. Cool. 5 is more than 2 last time I checked. Yeah, Tidespot Tyrant is boss when it comes to that. Okay, so we need our opponent to not find the Red Blast or the Pyroblast. That's the big deal, right? So there's that other snow-covered mountains. They have City of Traders and an Unknown. Still getting in for 2, banking on being able to get rid of it. Okay. Collective Brutality would be very interesting. Alright, Grave Titan, not what we're looking for. Alright, they got one more turn. If they don't draw it, they're probably scooping. They play the City of Traders. Getting in for 2. What did you find? Anything? Nothing? Just giving me the satisfaction of attacking? Okay. Did we get there? I love it. I love that they found it. Okay. So now we're going to do this. So Faithless Looting, and then we pitch Grave Titan and Ashen Rider. And then we can reanimate Grave Titan. And now we have to see if they can get out of that. Because we couldn't, if we brought back Tidespot Tyrant, it was too much of a risk that they could find another Red Blast. But this way, we're attacking for a lethal, and they don't have the option to attack. That just looks like a frustration thing. Playing their extra mountain. They're giving themselves one extra draw, I guess. Okay. Do they draw Ensnaring Bridge? That's their one out here. Yeah. All right. All right, we're back for a third match with Red-Black Reanimator Phoenix. This hand is not looking too good. We're probably going to have to ship this one, even though we are on the draw. There's just nothing free going on. Like, if we had a swamp, I'd be probably very happy about this, but gotta mulligan it. Alright, so this has a Lotus Petal, but no fast mana, so we're gonna mulligan that again. Alright, with this one, We have an Unmask, Reanimate, Faithless Looting, and Arclight Phoenix. I like that we have the Arclight Phoenix and Faithless Looting. So I think we're going to keep this one. We're not exactly combo centric, so I think we are going to pitch the planes and probably pitch the run the draw here. Probably the Unmask. Our plan will be to Faithless Looting on turn 1. Okay, our opponent plays an Island, snow covered. Well, now I'm sad that I got rid of the Unmask, but alright, so this goes and gets Badlands, so we're gonna focus on that. And we'll Faithlessly loot. Alright, they're letting us do it. So let's pitch Phoenix and we could pitch one of the reanimation spells because the Buried Alive can get stuff into the graveyard and then we can exhume. I think it's probably just the Bloodstained Mire. And we pass. A little bit of a slow start. Our opponent brainstorms. They must have a fetch land. Snow covered. It's odd that if they're like Snowco that they didn't lead with Astrolabe because that's almost always the right thing to do. No, blue white. This is probably Shark still. I mean, they didn't slam Standstill on turn 2, but could just definitely be Snow Control. All right. Counter this opponent. We have a backup. You're probably fine with it because you have Swords to Plowshares, right? No? Teferi? Probably right. Teferi on 3. In these colors. Seems ubiquitous. Oh no! Blue and white show and tell. That is very interesting. Well, we're going to say no. We don't have anything to put in. Alright, you have an Omniscience. Enjoy that. Sylvan Library. Omniscience again. Is that it? Intuition. Okay, so they're going to get 1 card, and they probably have it set up so that however I pick, it's not a good situation for me. But let's see. This is interesting. I've seen blue-green Omnitels and played against them, but I haven't seen them play a snow-covered plains. That is very interesting. Let me know what you think about this build. Have you played this deck? Have you played against this deck before? Alright. So we can either let them Jace or let them cast an Emrakul. So you get to Jace. And shuffle in your Emrakuls. It's really too bad that I can't reanimate those in instant speed. Alright, so you get to cast Jace. And Brainstorm, I assume. Okay. Oh, wow. What a find. Drawn from Dreams? That's amazing. Yeah. The game's pretty much over once they get to Drawn from Dreams. We needed them to brick off of their Jace Brainstorm. Monastery Mentor. That's a good one. Oh, they find Cunning Wish? Okay. No worry. What they do from there is they just got Cunning Wish into the shared summons, and then they just go find the Emrakuls and the game's over. Okay, well, they don't know that we are a Grizzlebrand deck, so we also have Ashen Rider, so bad for them if we get to use those. Let's see. Assassin's Trophy, pretty good for those. I don't know about Pithing Needles because they mainly, the only thing that they activate is Jace, and I'm not too worried that once they get the Jace on the battlefield, that's not the biggest deal. Let's see. So we can Cabal Therapy now, since we know what they have. They'll either you need to check for Force of Will or Show and Tell. Let's see, Faithless Looting. I think we're probably trimming an Exhume and a Buried Alive. Getting rid of Unburial Rites because that's too slow. We want to bring in Cobrew. Both of the Cobrews. Because they're a quick combo when they get going. It's not like they establish like one piece and then another and then another. They just like gather the pieces and then slam them all onto the battlefield. So something like Liliana is not actually that good in this matchup. I think we trim a Faithless Looting. Alright, so just some trimming to get into the sideboard. They're much more likely to have Surgicals than they are to have Leyline of the Void. Yes, I would like to play first. And I have Entomb Reanimate, so we're going to keep that. Need Mull of the 6. They're probably looking for some kind of hate. Okay. Go get a swamp. Now we could Cabal them, looking for Force of Will, and I think that's the way to go. Well, if they had Force, that wouldn't be good. So now, if they didn't force it, yeah, we should still hand check for Force of Will. Okay, they have Swords. Impulse, Brainstorm. Okay. So our opponents, their only play is to Brainstorm. So we'll force the issue, attempt to Entomb. They're letting it go, that's interesting. They must have F6'd on this turn. Alright, well it's Force of Will or Bust, so... Yep, there's the Brainstorm. And then they'd have to pitch the Impulse. Or another card that they find, I guess. They're letting it sit on the stack for a while. Surgical. What a find for our opponent. Good for you. Okay. Man, I would have taken Force of Will over that. That's garbage. Garbage. Man, blue-white's like literally the worst matchup for reanimation strategies. Is our opponent land screwed? No, they're not. They get to Impulse. Impulse is an instant, so good for them. No, Faithless Looting's no good. Because we didn't go get a Badlands like we should have. That's on us. Yep, you get to Impulse, sure. They probably find a white source out of this. They might just be set up for Show and Tell now. Yep. Oh, we get a Grave Titan, I guess. Okay. I don't think we have a way to deal with that. Except for the Death Touch scenario. Okay, how can we get rid of this Emrakul? We can hopefully have Ashen Rider in the top 2 cards of our deck. Come on, baby. Oh, so close. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. Man, that was tough. Tidespelt's good, but it was too late for him. Okay. Let's go to combat. So if we attack with the Grave Titan, that'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4 permanents. Yeah, and we'll just sack all the zombies. Okay. So we'll plan to sack the zombies. We have to reanimate the Tidespot Tyrant to not die, potentially. And Ashen Rider would have been amazing. We found Tidespot. Okay. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. He found Mentor, he probably has Ponder or something. Oh, Brainstorm maybe. Oh! We had Assassin's Trophy, but we couldn't get there. Alright. Very close. I mean, razor thin for our opponent. We're doing this for posterity, just to let them know. Oh, he got rid of it. He had Cunning Wish. Alright. Well, that one didn't quite work out for us. But always tough when you're playing against cards, blue and white cards for reanimation strategies that are non-blue. Yeah, and we were close. I mean, we had the combo there. Our opponent brainstormed into a surgical, which, I mean, good for you for finding one of probably 2 surgicals in your whole deck in that top set of cards, because we had already hand checked them. So the only option was for them to find it off the brainstorm. So good games. All right, we're here. Match 4 for Red Black Phoenix, and we have an interesting hand here. It's got a few lands, Lotus Petal for some free mana. We have Cabal Therapy, Faithless Looting, and Buried Alive, but no way to go really fast, because what's the best we can do is just do 2 spells, not 3. We are in the draw, however. So, because we have the potential, if we draw Dark Ritual, we can Buried Alive our way there. I think we're going to keep it. It's not as explosive as it could be, but it's sort of in the theme of our video. See if our opponent tips us off to what they're on, so we can Cabal Therapy them effectively. Opponent taking a little bit of time before they get started in their turn. Whole minute, actually. So what are we hoping for most to draw here? Definitely Dark Ritual, right? Because we can go either Marsh Flats into Badlands and Lotus Petal. So then we can Ritual, Mox Diamond and Rishadan Port. So lands, we're playing against lands. Yep. Green, oh god, Exploration. And there's a Depths, so we might be dead next turn. Okay, we drew Ritual. So we know we're casting the Lotus Petal. So how do we do this most effectively? So if we Ritual, that's 3. We'll have 4 mana available. Cabal Therapy doesn't do a whole lot against lands, unfortunately. And we don't have a creature to flash back. So I think we are actually looking at finding our Badlands, and we're just going to faithlessly loot. Okay. We can pitch Phoenix and Bayou, because we don't have a real reason for Bayou right now. Oh, I'm not even thinking. We could have Ritual Buried Alive. That would have been 3. That's my bad, guys. Hopefully next turn will be enough. Alright, our opponent Wastelands. Well, it wasn't Thespian Stage, so... Okay, they have 1 card in hand. It's totally fine. So what could our opponent have that we do not want them to have? I can't even imagine. Okay. We'll Cabal Therapy them, and what can we name? In lands. You could name, what do you call it? Punishing Fire. Okay, they had another Exploration, which is totally fine. Ritual, Buried Alive, and we're going to get all 3 Phoenixes. And we're going to go to combat and get all 4 Phoenixes. So technically if we played correctly, our opponent would already be dead, and that's my bad. But here we are. Alright, so our opponent can't possibly draw that many lands unless they specifically draw Light from the Loam. Oh, come on, opponent. What kind of a top deck is that? Okay. Wow. Well, we're going to keep one of them. Wow, what a top deck from our opponent. I've been top decked against a lot today. It's been a tough one. Alright, that's not what we wanted to see. Would have loved to Reanimate, Exhume. You got 2 turns, opponent. You drew a Taiga and you have an Exploration, so that bodes well for us. Okay. Yes, we would like to prevent that. Okay. Tapping on our upkeep, sure. So we'll play Scrubland. I mean, our opponent has to draw something really good to get out of this anyway. So we either win right here, our opponent finds Maze of Ith. Okay, perfect. So we do win. We want Pithing Needles for sure. And Assassin's Trophies. Cabal Therapy doesn't really help us. Except to get free spells, but that's also not ideal. Alright, Unburial Rites takes way too long to get there, and we can trim on Grizzlebrand. They don't mind discarding lands most of the time in their deck, so we're not going to bring in Sire of Insanity. Collective Brutality does basically nothing against them. Pack Rat can be good. That's interesting. Surgical is definitely something that they play. So I'm actually thinking about bringing in these Fairy Macabres. We can take down, excuse me, one Phoenix. An Unmask is not terribly good against them either. But I will leave in one in case we can get like a free spell situation. And then Thoughtseize is also not great against them. So we'll take out our Thoughtseizes and bring in our Pack Rats. Opponent deciding whether they want to play first. It's highly suggested. Not required. Legacy is probably the format where you hear people say, I'll be on the draw the most, actually, because of the existence of Manaless Dredge. Technically 8-rack in Modern, too, but that's rarely seen these days. Okay, so we have a hate card in Assassin's Trophy. We have a Lotus Petal, but I'm not really a fan of what this hand is doing. It's not proactive enough. This has Entombs and Assassin's Trophies, but no way to actually do anything, so we're going to mulligan that too. Okay. So you have Faithless Looting, Pack Rat, Arclight Phoenix. This is better. So if we keep this, we have to be aware of Wasteland. Our opponent is mulliganing not at all. They're beginning with 7. I think we got to get rid of Grave Titan. And probably Phoenix. We're just not going to get there. So we'll keep these, put Grave Titan and Phoenix down, because this way, if we draw a reanimation spell, then we can reanimate the Ashen Rider and exile one of their lands. Taiga. Crop Rotation. Ancient Tomb. Well, everything costs more now. Okay, our opponent still has our upkeep stopped from their Rishadan Port. There we go. Alright, well, since we need more mana to do anything, we'll play a Bayou and pay 1 to play our Lotus Petal, and then pass. Stage. Ugh! Everything's super expensive. Alright, I don't really see a need to sacrifice our Lotus Petal or crack our Marsh Flats until we know that we're in a good spot. All right. This would be a sensible place potentially. All right, Badlands. Red, black, black. We gotta find more lands. Those aren't lands. Discard Ashen Rider. Discarding 2. Alright, now we gotta draw 2 lands in a row. Which, I mean, the percentages are only going up for that. Oh, they're just finding depths. Wow, being able to depths through your own sphere of resistance is very good. And they just have it on board here. So we don't really have a good out. Nope, just more Faithless Lootings. Okay. That's lands for you. Okay, so we didn't draw... we had hard mulligans in that game. But I don't think there's anything that we would change. Yeah, the Sphere of Resistance is really good. Yes, we'd like to play first. I wish we had Entomb and Reanimate. And I wish that our singles of our Entomb targets weren't in our hand. I think we have to mulligan that. Oh my god, you're killing me, Plains. You're killing me. Oh boy. If that was any form of black source, this was a super keepable hand. We got to go to 5. Okay. Well, we're going to keep that and have to try to find our way out. Get rid of our Faithless Lootings. Play a swamp. Say go. Couple tough mulligans here against lands. Stage Mox Diamond. Get back Wasteland. Well, your Wasteland's not going to do very much but get you mana. Okay. Well, let's hope they don't have Surgical. Oh, wow. Getting back Tabernacle. Well, this will be interesting. End of turn Entomb. Entomb, Grizzlebrand. Reanimate Grizzlebrand. Draw 7 cards. Okay. We can go to 4. So we cast Reanimate this turn. So we had Reanimate, that'll be Ritual Buried Alive. Let's fetch. Get a swamp. Ritual. Buried Alive. Phoenix. Phoenix. And what do we want to get? Yeah, let's get Ashen Rider. And then let's go to combat. And then this way, if they try to get back Tabernacle, we can actually Fairy Macabre it. Okay, we'll discard Arclight Phoenix. Okay, so they can make the 2020. Can we get around that? We can, actually. So you can play our Bloodstained Mire, and then we can fetch for a Bayou in response, and then destroy the Dark Depths. Okay, we don't have Ritual. I can Exhume. No, I can't Exhume. Can't Reanimate either. Okay, we just have to go to combat. This is a really tricky moment. Our opponent's trying to time it just right. But I think the timing is very much in our favor because we are on the attack. Okay. We fetch. Bayou. Trophy. Wait. Cancel. The stage is trying to become a copy. So we get rid of the stage. Yes! We got it. Our trophies came in handy. So those were our matches with Red Black, Reanimator, Phoenix. A little bit of a mixed bag. You saw we started a little bit with the Force of Will and Swords to Plowshare types decks. We were able to get there against lands and against Painter. So, you know, some maybe more hobby decks, but stuff you might see at your local meta. A lot of people love lands, and some people are just all about, let me try to mill somebody out entirely with Painter. Legacy is such a wide format, and that's what I love about it. You know, you can do awesome things, you can do super fast things like Reanimating Grizzlebrand, or you can play Show and Tell, get Emrakul into play. You know, there's crazy things that you can do, but there's a wide variety of what's actually viable in the format. So keep on the lookout for more decks that I'll be playing in Legacy. Send me some comments. Let me know what you want to see us play in Legacy on Kirkwood Bros Gaming. And until next time, I'm Jay, and I'll see you soon.